Hey guys, and welcome to a battle between the mighty David the White Lizard up against Ice Power Total War. Two very cool guys that have been featured on the channel before and involved in my Discord community, going head to head here with Skaven up against the Dark Elves. And it looks like we've got some pretty wild and wacky builds coming in, so let's have a little quick look. So it looks like we're going to have a rush into a rush build, which is always a good fun watch. So up front for this Skaven, we do have 2 units of Gutter Runners with Poison here. Going to be doing some decent consistent damage over the course of the whole battle. And then we have a huge death blob coming in from the Skaven. So Skaven slaves in the front line, simply here to absorb that initial charge and, bog down and slow down the Dark Elves where possible. In the second line, we have a mixture of Clan Rats as well as the Plague Monk Censer Bearers. These guys are going to be deadly up against the cheap and cheerful Dark Elf infantry, bleak swords, dread swords and so forth. These little rat boys will tear them apart. However, if there's much missile pressure coming in, these guys can certainly go down very quickly. And we have 2 today, including the Blight Scab Plague Pack, the Regiment of Renowned version, who do give Ravel Rouse, so immune to psychology to all nearby units. Is very, very powerful coming in for the Skaven, especially with such a build. It looks like we also have double Rat Ogres in the back line for a bit of protection, rocking themselves alongside double Warp Grinders. These guys have some pretty unique and cool abilities. Now, not only do they pack a little bit of a punch themselves, they do come with Warp Quake, slowing the enemy down and doing a little bit of damage. We also have Seismic Snare to pin in troops completely. So really nice build so far. We have Poison Wind Mortars just to keep the Dark Elves honest and try and pressure them in where possible. These guys, once again, good at taking down the cheaper units in the Dark Elf roster. So we have a Plague Priest as well. Going to be rocking quite a few spells here, it would seem. He's going to be bringing the Scrying Stone, Plague, as well as Vermintide. Okay, so only just the 2 here. It'll be interesting to see if Plague can go off correctly here. We also have Deathmaster Snickage for his lord. What an awesome guy. Coming with some really cool units here. He's going to be bringing the Whirl of Weeping Blades, as well as Deathmaster's Sigil. And toe-to-toe, he can go along with the best of them. He's rather squishy, but he certainly packs a punch when it comes to dealing with enemy characters. Now for the Dark Elves, they've also gone for a bit of a rush. So normally you'd expect the Skaven to go very tight defensively with loads of Warplug Jezzails and all that kind of good stuff to snipe out your troops. So going mass Dread Spears and Bleak Swords is certainly a good way to go. It looks like we have, Dread Spears in the backup line, Bleak Swords up front. We have a Feral Manticore flying in the skies, who's relatively cheap for the damage he can do. Very good at sniping out enemy heroes. We also have more Bleak Swords and Dread Spears wrapping around this right-hand flank. Now for Leadership Core, we do have Lokir Felheart, one of the best duelists in the game. Him against the Deathmaster is certainly going to be a fun time. Now here, of course, it does come with the Helm of the Kraken, so he's going to be regenerating as well when he is in combat, plus getting that extra 9 melee defense. He also has Dreaded Duelist, which he can pop, buffing his defense and attack. So I'm really excited to see if those guys do go toe-to-toe. We have a Sorcerer of Death here as well, rocking Fate Abuna and Spirit Leech, and then a huge vanguard is dotted around the place. So we have double Dark Riders with shields down here in the trees. We have triple Dark Riders. Oh no, it looks like 2 more, as well as Slesh's Harvesters, the Doomfire Warlock Regiment of Renowned. Very good unit overall. Are going to be rocking through the trees. And over in deep reserve, over here in the very corner map here, we have triple Harpies, including the Crows of Cain. So those guys are certainly going to have to hustle and get here as quickly as possible. He wants to slam in from all sides in one go. That cav is going to be very important, I predict. But in comes the first mortar shell here. Looks like it is going to be aiming down at these Bleak Swords, and it is just clips those guys a tiny bit. As you can see, it does do that damage over time as well after making contact. As long as you clip them slightly, you'll still do some okay damage. It looks like the Sorcerer of Death has been caught here in the Deathmaster Sigil here. Nice little snare popping down, and he does rush forward, but that snare does not last too long, and the Sorcerer is going to be able to get out of there relatively comfortably. The Feral Manticore does pop down though, so maybe it was a bit of a trap, but in come the Rat Ogres. Nice counter charge. One of them getting absolutely punted down the hill here, and a huge Plague going down in the back here, catching 2 units of the Dread Spears as well as Bleak Swords. This is some crazy good value. These guys are pinned in by simple Skaven slaves, and the battle is well and fully underway here. Let's go for a little bit of slow-mo, as so much is going on here as the 2 rushes do meet. Mortarfire is still consistently doing some great work on this flank down here, as the Blight Scab Plague Pack are going to be running in and easily mopping up a ton of these troops. In the front line, Skaven slaves mixed in with Plague Monk Censer Bearers and Rat Ogres, trying to hold the line, doing some fantastic damage on Lokir Felheart. But despite the fact he does have his buffs popped, his Spirit Leech has been popped down on the Deathmaster, and the Manticore is going a little bit havoc, and the cavalry has arrived into the back lines, running over a ton of these troops, as well as a fat Soul Sealer coming down as well by the Doomfire Warlocks. These warp grinds have been forced off straight away, but the second one getting a really nice warp quick and seismic snare, keeping all of this cavalry pinned in. The rat ogres have now come over to deal their damage, so really great play by Ice Power. They come with the nice rear attacks, but good counter punch as well by the Skaven. A big Fate of Buna has gone down on the Blight Scab Plague Pack. He definitely needs to get these guys offline or cycle charge them to death. They are going to munch through this infantry very, very effectively. You can see the damage that Plague did. It has broken the Dread Spears on this flank over here. And the Sorcerer's Death getting a little bit ballsy here going into combat. Loki Felhart looks like he did in fact lose the duel up to the Deathmaster relatively handily. There was assisting troops as well. A nice summon of Clarence has gone in the back to get a nice rear charge on top of these Bleak Swords. So real fast and furious stuff now, and only just now have the Harpies arrived. I think it's just simply the fact they were so far away, so no miss micro there. These guys have been moving since the start of the battle. Are going to be trying to hunt down troops now and find a home. They do need to shut down the Poison Wind Mortars. These guys only have 14 kills, but they do nice consistent damage, especially now that a lot of the Dark Elf forces have been pushed back. And as you can see, quite a few units are being pinned in just by, one or two units of Skaven slaves dotted around. So they definitely need to try and poke their way through the hole. But this game is certainly not over yet. I think the early engagements have gone Skaven's way, but there's still a ton of cavalry. And it looks like they have found some rat ogres who have been a little bit overextended here. Looks like they might be trying to hunt down some troops. And yes, they're good up against Dark Riders, but the sheer wave of troops here is probably going to be able to drag these guys down, especially if the Harvesters do get involved. And here we go, a big Word of Pain goes down, lowering these guys' melee attack by 40. They're certainly going to get munched on now. In the distance, the Crows of Cain chasing off some Warp Grinders, which is a good play. Those guys are relatively expensive for Skaven units at least. And the Mortar's up to 45 kills, doing some pretty decent work. Now, in the main fight here, Deathmaster was once again hunted by the Ferromanticore, and he's taken a bit of a beating, but he has spotted Loki Felhart, and he is going after that Dark Elf booty here, pushing his way through the Warp Grinders and trying to hop on top of him here. He'll do some decent work, especially when helped out here by the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers, but he's taking one or two hits back as well, so certainly not getting a free trade for it. The Ferromanticore, unfortunately, does have relatively low leadership. Only got 11 kills so far, but has done some huge damage overall. Deathmaster looks like he's once again going to be able to push back the Felhart here in this ultimate stew here, surrounded by the Warp Grinders and his little clan of rats. Looks like he got one or two good hits in though on the Deathmaster, who's down to just 1,000 health. Loki is starting to rally with the help of the Sorceress of Death nearby, so one Spirit Leech down on Deathmaster honestly might be enough to break him at this point. And the Skaven have managed to protect their back line relatively effectively here, pushing down with Rat Ogres and keeping all these Dark Riders at bay. It looks like the Gutter Runners are getting very ballsy here and going for a downhill charge onto the Dark Riders, but these guys are going to get absolutely lanced here. Fantastic charge coming in by the Dark Riders. Rat Ogres do need to retaliate here and help out the Gutter Runners, who will be able to drag down these guys though in consistent long engagement, so the Cav definitely need to fall back and charge in once again. Loki has been broken unfortunately in the middle and completely shattered this Ferromanticore as well. The Deathmaster is on the hunt for Loki, but he's still going to be... I mean, he's not regenerating, unfortunately, because he's not in combat, technically. So, 416 health. Deathmaster is going for it, but in comes the Sorcerer of Death, trying to save her Liege Lord here. Going toe-to-toe with the Deathmaster, getting down to just 314 health, but with some swirling blades there, he brings down the Sorcerer, and it's going to be really tough now for the Dark Elves to bring this back. Loki can get back and maybe get engaged in some Skaven slaves for a while, just to increase his HP pool. And there are rallying Dark Elves all over the field. I can see Dark Riders in the distance, Harpies as well, trying to isolated the Rat Ogres on this low ground, but they're trading so effectively, doing some decent work to all these Cav here. It looks like the Rat Ogres though, another Word of Pain has been popped to them. We're going to break them off, so really nice play and kind of counter punch here by the Dark Elves, fighting their way back into the game after some initial early shock damage by both forces kind of decimated the Dark Elves quite heavily. Deathmaster Snickage is down to just 340 odd health, and he is wavering, and look who has rallied, Loki Felhart, who currently is a little bit more healthy. But this is a dangerous Skaven blob. We still have the Blight Scab Plague Pack in here, as well as a pretty healthy, at least for the late game, unit of the Plague Monk Sensor Bearers, who will be able to chew through the majority of what is left. Some decent cycle charging by the Dark Riders perhaps can swing this around, but in comes that Deathmaster Sigil, pinning in Loki, allowing the Deathmaster to get a few stabs into the back there, and he does indeed assassinate the Dark Elf Lord. So very good play overall so far by the Deathmaster, taking out the hero and the Lord, but he's been swarmed for his efforts now by the Harpies, and he's probably going to go down here, to be honest. 230 health. Harpies are starting to wave, but so is the Deathmaster. He does in fact start to run for the Hells, but he knows his job is pretty much done at this point. Harpies are going to be forced off, and it's Harpies against the world here. So we are going to fast forward this last little bit, as I'm assuming it's actually going to be, yeah, just chasing down the Death Master, which is the correct play here by the Dark Elves. Force him off and assassinate him. But the Skaven simply going to blob up, and there's not going to be too much the Dark Elves can do at this point, unfortunately. So they're going to be picking on some isolated troops. Gutterons who did get a little bit over-eager in chasing down those Harpies, but Army Losses is incredibly close to locking in now. Dark Elves, though, good diligent play coming by Ice Powers, chasing off these units, scrapping it to the death as well. And you'll be surprised at sometimes the comebacks you can bring by doing such play. So very impressed so far. And here we go. Both the, looks like how many units do we have? So we have 1, 2, 3 Harpies and 1 little unit of Dark Riders, all going to be coming in to face their doom. And they're just going to be charging in and slowly dragged down here. Yeah, looks like they're doing their best though, going after Blight Scab, Plague Pack and so forth, but every time they do land you can see their leadership just dropping incredibly quickly. They are forced off there in a nice Pyrrhic victory for the Skaven. Very well played to both players. Very impressed by both David the White Lizard and Ice Powers Total War there. So massive shout out for David for sending this in via my Discord, and more on that later as well. But very well played. 2 fun builds. I love the use of Deathmaster Snickage. Managed to assassinate both the Sorceress and Lokir Fellheart in the end. Did take a bit of a beating from the Ferromantical. He is rather squishy, but that Plague coming in by the Plague Priest did so much damage on 3 different units, and this is one of the rare occasions, or not rare occasions I suppose, but one of the good examples that Plague Monk Sense Bearers can be pretty damn competitive up against Dark Elves as long as they've gone for the rush, and they quite often can. It's a little bit of mind games, as I said earlier. Skaven can go for a ton of mortars, Warplock Gazelles and so forth, so you want to rush them with all these cheap troops, and this is a fantastic counter. You rush into the rush back and tear them apart with huge damage dealers, so some fantastic play overall. Now as for the Dark Elves, it's always a great show when you know Lokir Fellheart is going to be displayed. Unfortunately for him, I think the main thing that cost him the game was the Harpies being a bit of delayed into the engagement. It wasn't really his fault. He moved them at the very start from their deep vanguard there, but they kind of turned up in the second quarter, unfortunately, of the game, where they were needed at the beginning to really crump the Skaven from all sides, try and break them and shut them down. But a really nice comeback towards the end there. Nearly managed to turn it back until, unfortunately, the Sorceress and Lokir did fall into the Death Master Snickage's trap. So guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, please do consider giving the video a big old thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, feel free. We do all kinds of Total War content, from multiplayer down to campaign. We're currently doing an Imric campaign, and it's some pretty damn good fun. Now, if you do want to see your own videos put up on the channel, get involved in tournaments, King of Hills, and all that good stuff, feel free to join my Discord just down below in the description. And if you want to support the channel in any other way, I do have a Patreon account, which you can always find down in the description. So anyway, guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.